person that said you need to humble yourself and you're ungrateful because you wouldn't have a channel if it wasn't for Robert or Brianna. I don't know what in the world you thinking. You're sick to say something like that. I would never allow anybody to make me feel like Brianna grew my channel. No, you wouldn't be where you are without the name. Oh my God. Okay, well, you know what? But you're over. She named herself Amore is ungrateful. You wouldn't be where you are without the name Bree and Robert. You are very ungrateful. You wouldn't have this channel for long. You befriended people just to turn on them. You can't be trusted, scammer. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, if you feel that way, then maybe you don't need to be sitting amongst me. How about that?
I never thought I'd see the day that people would come into Amora's chat and literally let her have it.
And delusional at this point. You know what I mean? She said, Brianna supporters are the foundation of your channel. Lies. Absolutely lies. Lies and more lies.
Being loud and repetitive doesn't make you right.
Brianna supporters are not the foundation of my channel. And if that's the case, if they want to go, I would never hold nobody back from going. Oh my God. Okay, so the person that came up in the chat and said, called me an ungrateful bitch and said that that I should be grateful that I would not have this channel for Brianna or LaTruth. First of all, let me just say this. First of all, that's a lie. And I don't care about whoever say that because it's a lie. You would not be able to say that. That's a lie. I built this channel. Not Bree nor LaTruth came over here, okay, and ran my panel and fought off people day in, day out, people talking about my whole family and everybody under the sun, my supporters and everything, okay? So first of all, for them to say that, let me tell you something. You can cry yourself to sleep, okay? Matter of fact, you can cry yourself into a deep coma if you really feel that way, okay?
Now, is that any way to talk about your supporters?
And I just want to say this. I appreciate all my supporters. I really do.
There you go, Amora. Reel them back in.
Let me just say this. Before I stopped talking about the saga the first time, I had 3,000 and something subscribers, okay? I moved on to another sector and I gained a lot more subscribers.
And really, you should have stayed going when Brianna told you to mind your MF business.
So I know for a fact Brianna and LaTruth did not grow my channel. I grew my channel. I'm not giving that to them at all. And can't nobody make me give it to them. But I do want to say this, as much as I love all my supporters, if you are only here to hear the Brianna story, and if nothing else I say interests you, you know, because I would love for everybody to stay on the ride with me all the way up because your girl is going all the way up. But if you don't want to stay on, listen, I'm not stopping anybody from jumping off the train, okay?
She came so close to telling them to unsubscribe, but those pockets wouldn't let her do it.
If you only came for the story, by all means, do what you feel like you got to do. Go where you want to hear the story, you know? I can't make nobody stay. I appreciate your support. But if you feel that I am only, good enough to speak on a Brianna and LaTruth, then I am sorry to disappoint you because that will not be happening, okay? I am moving on from the story, and I'm moving on even further now, even more so now. I'm moving on, and the reason being is because that was even sick to say. For someone to say, "You ungrateful bitch, you wouldn't have this channel had it not been for Brianna or Robert," tells me that that's the only thing that they expect me to do is talk about Brianna or Robert. Well, it stops today.
Well, you heard her, folks. Do you believe her?
Be all the way honest. Some of them are fan the fuck out. Today is the 1st of December. I will not go another day speaking on them. If you want to hear about Bria Robert, I'm sure you can flip through YouTube, type in Brianna or Robert, and you will be able to see any story you want to see. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Amora, but the question is, do we believe you? I, for one, Do not.
No longer be speaking on them. It has become overly sick, demonic, and crazy. You need to humble yourself. If it wasn't for Brianna or okay, now I'm going on to do bigger and better things.
Say what now? No more, you are the problem, and you have been the problem throughout this saga. The only reason you're really leaving is because it's pretty much done. Well, then Brianna told you to mind your business, but there is nothing more for you to really gain from this saga. It's ending. It's boring now. Brianna doesn't have any content. Not that she really ever did, aside from being a victim. She's been playing the victim very well, with your help, of course. And now you're just ready to move on with her followers. If you believe for 1 second that you didn't build your channel on the backs of Robert and Brianna, you are sadly mistaken. Today, we're going to dive into a darker aspect of the world of social media influencers, and that is the gaslighting. It's a practice that manipulates not just opinions, but emotions and trust itself. Although it's subtle, it's profoundly harmful. Gaslighting is being used by some influencers to gain memberships, followers, and ultimately monetary contributions. Now, you might be asking, what exactly does gaslighting mean in the context of social media? Well, let's break it down. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation. It's a tactic that causes people to question their own reality, the memory, or their perception of events. It's a form of emotional abuse and it has devastating effects on mental health. When influencers use gaslighting on their followers, they're twisting facts, playing with their emotions, and even manipulating their supporters into thinking that they're entitled to their money or attention and loyalty. But how does this happen on social media? Well, let me give you a case in point. Amore entered the LaTruth saga approximately 3 months after Brianna went live about the toad incident. You know, the one where she tried to kick her husband, who had just had his stomach removed 3 months prior to that, during his battle to live a cancer free life. Yeah, I'm talking about that incident. When Amore arrived on the scene, she was soft spoken and articulate. She claimed that her presence was in support of one woman who was being bullied by 51 Robert Hampton supporters, and that had no one to defend her. Now, mind you, Amore entered the saga after Robert showed the world that his wife was acting and crying fake tears to the 911 operator. There were a number of unbiased people who felt that Robert's life had been placed in danger, first by the attempted kick, and also by the fact that police were called to the scene where a black man was allegedly armed with a weapon and had just physically harmed his wife and broke her finger, allegedly. So rather than observe both sides of the story, Amora chose to get in contact with the wife and offer her support as a DV advocate and exposure of narcissistic male behavior. Brianna was so elated that someone was gullible enough to want to fend for her. She then spoon fed information to Amora. Married to a techie, Amora decided that if the shoe didn't fit, she was going to shove that bad boy on. How, you ask? Well, she and some of the other broken women in the saga got together with a single joint mission, and that was to bring LaTruth down, to ruin his brand and tarnish his image and stop his bag. That's right, a bunch of geriatric black women got together to ruin a black man because he divorced his wife and proved that she's a liar and a manipulator. Do you realize how hurt Brianna must be in order to allow perfect strangers to dog out her child's father? I mean, that's another level of pain when you solicit other people to join you in ruining the man you were once married to. hurt to a point where you even get less child support because you made sure his income was affected by the lies and manipulation that you and Amora concocted. Amora said that she framed Robert for Jonell's abuse toward Brianna because she didn't want Brianna to be sad. What in the holy... Well, Brianna, now we all know that you still wanted Robert. I believe you want him to this day. There's no way you don't regret how you ruined your marriage. Amora helped you, and guess what? She still has her husband for all that's worth. I know people make mistakes, and there's this thing called young and dumb, but sweetie, you're not that young anymore. Amor had an advantage over the other content creators in the saga because she was getting firsthand information from Brianna. Whether she was asked to tamper with documents or create fake ones, Amor went so hard in protecting Brianna's image that she forgot about that soft-spoken, articulate persona she had presented to Jaffe on his live. She forgot that she told Jaffe that if he wanted an intelligent response without all that cursing and being ghetto, then he should allow her to speak and not the other panelists because they couldn't comprehend well. If y'all recall that's when Retta went in with that lovable New York accent and cursed Amora the Ugfe off. Sorry, I digress. Well, Amora decided from that point that she was going to create her own channel and not bother with trying to be heard on other people's panel. At that point, I believe Sweetma and Jaffe were covering the saga. Oh, yeah, and Jenny on Facebook. I'm going to cover her in another video about flip-floppers and how they can't be trusted. And no, I'm not talking about Dawn because she was spending time with her niece when she decided to stick around Brianna. Jenny, just like Amora, was a self-proclaimed supporter of the truth and even called herself his internet sister. Amora was a self-proclaimed supporter of Brianna. Let me make that clarification. Those two are buddies today. But that won't last because Amora's dropping the story allegedly, and Jenny has no other content, so a breakup between those two is imminent. The Beehive support group emerged, and Amora was one of the biggest ringleaders in that clown show. We later found out that Beehive was being run by a challenged woman who hated Robert more than Brianna. Amora was placed on the front line to lie and defend. She became loud and cunning and helped Brianna destroy what little was left of her marriage. When the domestic situation blossomed into an internet saga, it came with monetization. Amora tried to go viral on Facebook so she could make that LaTruth money, but she quickly navigated on over to YouTube so she could cuss and yell and lie and dox and manipulate her supporters to follow her in the journey to help poor little Brianna who was being bullied. She had the right ones, baby, because her YouTube channel quickly grew to 3,000 followers and hundreds of memberships. No one had heard of Amora on social media until she started defending Brianna. Amora's Facebook and YouTube channels were built on the backs of Robert, Hampton, and Brianna. She started with Brianna's supporters and then kept them engaged after Brianna went spiraling off with Jonell. Brianna wanted to end Amora by kicking her to the curb, but Amora was a little too smart for that. She grew the Brianna base and moved on to bashing another man through a public divorce, who was going through a public divorce. Amora had the audacity to say that she created her channel so no one gets credit for that besides her. Wow. Hell, I created this channel 3 months ago and I only had 25 followers until Amber Graham, aka Am, shouted me out on her channel. Shout out to Amber. I was pleasantly surprised, and what's even more remarkable is the fact that Amber doesn't even know me. Who does that for a stranger? I'll tell you who. A person who's real and wants to help others through acts of kindness. Amber, I am truly humbled by the selfless act of kindness and genuine support that you have shown me. I went from 25 to over 200 subscribers in less than 24 hours. I've been following Am and several other content creators from the bushes. I decided to emerge from the bushes with my own channel just to voice my opinions and give a different perspective on the psychology behind the saga. Amora supporters have already started coming for me, but that's okay. Honey, I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago and I don't scare very easily. So back to Amora. Amora has built a foundation of influencer trust. After all, the relationship between influencers and their followers is built on trust. Influencers present themselves as relatable, authentic, and sometimes vulnerable, and that creates a personal connection with their audience. They share personal stories, they give advice, and promote products, all while appearing to genuinely care about their followers. This sense of connection, it's crucial for their success. The more personal and authentic that an influencer appears, the more likely that their followers are going to feel like they're part of this exclusive community. Can you say Brian? For many people, this sense of belonging feels incredibly real. A follower might feel like they know the influencer personally, following their daily life struggles and triumphs. They see this influencer as a role model, and their advice becomes gospel. This is where the seeds of gaslighting are planted. If you really think about it, Brianna was gaslighting Amora, making her feel invincible, and in turn, Amora felt empowered to lead and gaslight her very own flock of sheep. Actually, Amora supporters were actually Brianna supporters. They mistakenly believed that Amora had full endorsement from Brianna. Both Amora and Brianna were out here manipulating emotions and creating a toxic community within the saga. Gaslight starts with creating doubt. The influencer who already has a platform and a relationship of trust with their audience, they're going to undermine the very foundation of that trust in very subtle ways. Imagine this. A well known influencer is posting regularly on their platform. They're portraying a life of luxury, success, and happiness. They frequently remind their followers how much they care, how grateful they are for their support, and how they are just like you. But when over time, they begin to make statements like, I can't believe some people just don't understand what I do for them. Or, you say you love me, but if you did, you'd be supporting my work more. You'd be buying my merch or subscribe to my exclusive content. Or they may say something like, if you can't see what I'm doing for you, then maybe you're not as loyal as I thought you were. See, these kind of comments, they might seem harmless on the surface, but when they're strung together, they start to cause confusion. Followers might begin to question their own feelings of loyalty. They might start to feel guilty, wondering if they're doing enough to support the influencer that they admire. They might even convince themselves that they are failing the influencer in some way. Let's talk about that money train, turning gaslighting into profit. The next step in this emotional manipulation is the influencer creating an urgent need. Once followers are made to feel guilty or inadequate, they are presented with a solution. Solutions in the form of memberships, exclusive content, or donations. Wait a minute, am I covering Amora or Brianna on this topic? Because they actually mirror each other when it comes to gaslighting. But anywho, let's take a look at these tactics. Exclusive content. Now, the influencer may offer exclusive content, saying things like, only my most loyal followers get this special behind the scene looks, or I give my true fans something extra because they've earned it. But here's the catch. This content isn't truly exclusive. It's just a tactic to make followers feel like they're not part of the real community unless they pay up. And please don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with memberships or offering exclusive content, but it becomes a problem when the people who support you are being misled and lied to. They actually believe that they're part of something genuine and positive. There are these tiers of loyalty. Some influencers go as far as creating membership with tiers with escalating benefits. For example, bronze supporters get the basic content, silver get the perks, gold members get more personal attention. I mean, it sounds good on the surface, but there's a catch. These tiers are designed to make people feel inadequate if they aren't in that highest group, convincing them that they need to pay more to be recognized as the best fan. There's guilt and fear involved here, people. An influencer might ramp up emotional manipulation by saying things like, if you don't support me now, I won't be able to keep doing what I do. Or I may have to shut down my channel if I don't get more support. This places followers in a position where they fear losing the relationship, the content, and the perceived connection with the influencer. This fear, it leads to monetary contributions. One of the insidious aspects of behavior is the exploitation of vulnerable followers. Many people will turn to social media influencers for a sense of belonging. Some come for advice or for support during difficult times in their lives. These influencers, aware of the emotional impact that they have, manipulate these vulnerable emotions to maximize their gain. For some, the feeling of being chosen or part of an exclusive community feels powerful, and they'll do anything to hold on to that feeling, including making significant monetary contributions. Brianna's supporters, including Amora, were all vying for her love as if it was some sort of a prize. Brianna doesn't even love Brianna. How the hell is she gonna show Amora love? She used Amora, and Amora used her own supporters. The most concerning aspect of this manipulation is the long term impact that it can have on followers. Emotionally, people begin to doubt their worth, their understanding of reality, and their place in the world. They start to question, am I loyal enough? Am I doing enough for this influencer? Why does it feel like I'm always being asked for more? The cost of gaslighting is mental and it's financial harm. Financially, it can be devastating. Influencers often encourage people to invest heavily in merchandise, memberships, or donations that may not offer any real value. Followers who already feel like they're failing to meet expectations may overextend themselves financially to feel like they're part of this so called community. In worst cases, followers may go into debt or experience anxiety over spending more than they can afford. Remember Mick Styles? She ended up homeless after working hard alongside Amora, not getting paid, by the way, doing all of this for Brianna, but she wanted to prove her loyalty by any means necessary. Are these people blind? Why is it so hard for them to recognize gaslighting? Gaslighting on social media is difficult to recognize because it's not always overt. It's a slow build, a drip feed of doubt and guilt. And because social media is inherently designed to create personal connections, it's easy for followers to ignore red flags or dismiss the manipulation. It's just part of the influencer's brand. That's just how they are. Influencers often hide their manipulation behind smiles and kind words and soft tones and promises of a better future. But in reality, they are capitalizing on the vulnerability of their audience. And this is just wrong on so many levels. So, what can we do to protect ourselves from this kind of exploitation? First, you have to trust your instincts. If something feels off, just trust that feeling. Question the motive behind the influencer's actions, especially if they make you feel guilty or inadequate. Then you have to set some boundaries. Remember that following someone on social media should never come at the expense of your well being, financially or emotionally. You don't need to be a part of every exclusive group just to prove that you're a loyal supporter. You really need to recognize your worth. Influencers are not entitled to your loyalty or money. they have to earn that. Realize that you are vulnerable whether you spend money or not, and you're not obligated to prove your worth to someone online. There's a lot of different content creators out there. Some are funny, some are informative, some are entertaining, but if you feel energized by what you're hearing, then by all means, support. They're earning your support at that point by bringing you engaging content. How you support and how much you support is strictly up to you. It's your choice, and there should be no pressure placed on you to do so. Support ethical creators. Seek out those influencers who genuinely care about their followers' well being and aren't just playing on your emotions for financial gain. Support creators who prioritize transparency, honesty, and authentic relationships. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated by the likes of a Moora, a person who will destroy another person over a lie and frame that same person to cover up more lies. A person who will use your pain for gain. A person who will approach you as a wolf in sheep's clothing in an effort to gain your trust. A person who's just as broken and will appear to show empathy when they in fact lack the emotion for others. A person who's greedy and selfish and will do just about anything to get your money in exchange for lies. Let me close with this. The use of gaslighting by influencers to manipulate their followers is a dangerous and exploitative practice. It preys on the followers' emotions, making them feel guilty and inadequate, convincing them that your support is never enough. But you must remember that your worth is not defined by your financial contributions to an influencer's platform. Come on. As we navigate the world of social media, we have to remain vigilant. We have to protect our mental health and make choices that serve our well being, not the profit driven motives of some influencers. You can also show your support on YouTube by watching a complete video and leaving a like or a comment. You can subscribe and share the influencer's channel and their content. You can let the ads play for the monetized influencers and actually click on the ad sometime, especially if it's something that you might consider purchasing in the future. By all means, show your support, but please don't lose yourself in the process. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.